Hello everyone. In this video, I'll be giving my preliminary thoughts on Xianyun, or Cloud Retainer. I think she has a lot of potential with a couple teams, but I'll mainly be focusing on Diluc for this video. I'll highlight what she can bring to the table in comparison to previous options, as well as potential issues that will have to be addressed for this team to function to its max potential. I want to go over her kit briefly so that we're all on the same page. Xianyun has a triple cast skill that launches her into the air with each cast. At any of these cast points, you can plunge to the ground and deal ammo damage and generate particles. Her burst heals the party and gives continuous party-wide healing afterwards. It also gives the team the ability to jump high and plunge, with each plunge consuming a charge and causing an ammo coordinated attack to occur. Her Ascension passive buffs plunges. The first one gives a small crit rate buff based on the number of enemies hit by her skill, and the second is a massive flat damage buff to plunges that works similarly to Shenhe's quills. Diluc has a high plunge multiplier of 442% at level 10, which for reference is 20% higher than his burst's initial hit at level 10. It also has no ICD, meaning that every plunge has the potential to vape. Xianyun allowing him to easily access this multiplier is amazing, and her buffs to the plunges themselves are also massive. Of course, she's also an animo character, so she can hold the Viridescent set for further buffing, and on top of all of this, her party-wide healing will improve generating fanfare stacks for Furina by a significant amount compared to Bennett, meaning you get more damage percent from Furina compared to a Bennett-Furina-Kazuha team. For all this to work properly, there are multiple problems that need to be solved in these teams. For a Diluc, Bennett, Furina, Xianyun team, it may be hard for Diluc to consistently vape. Furina has random Hydro application that changes timings based on rotations, and Xianyun's coordinated animo attack after plunges can potentially wipe away leftover Hydro aura after a plunge, when otherwise that leftover aura would be enough for another vaporize hit. Ultimately, we have to wait for her to come out to properly test the rotations and combos to figure out whether this team can support a Hydro aura or not, which will greatly affect the strength of the team. Diluc has a lot of flexibility in his application speed, so I'm confident that I'll figure out something that works, but for now it definitely can't be taken for granted. In a similar vein, the double VV setups will be quite finicky in these teams. I've done double swirl setups with Bennett, Furina, and Kazuha, and I think they'll be quite similar to those, so I'm not too worried on whether they are possible, but I feel like they might be a little clunky or impractical. Similarly, I'll have to wait until she's out to properly test these rotations. If nothing else though, I think even if you miss Pyro Swirls, Diluc will be doing significantly more damage in this team compared to his old teams, assuming that the vape consistency is there. I've mainly focused on Furina, so I want to briefly analyze the other options we have here for elemental application. For Xingqiu or Yelan, I think they'll work as fine as well. In between plunges, you'll want to do canceled normal attacks to proc their bursts, which will slow the combos down a bit, but I think the vape consistency and double swirl setups will be easier with these two compared to Furina. I think if Furina works, she'll be better, but if she doesn't work, these will be the next best options. For Melt, we have Rosaria or Kaya. Rosaria's application is a little bit too slow in my opinion. If you're spamming high plunges using skills, I just feel like the Pyro Aura will overtake. Kaya's burst follows you into the air, so if you're plunging, not all the burst ticks will hit the opponents, so I don't think he'll be optimal either. But I will test the Melt teams whenever Xianyun comes out and see if any of them are viable or even better than the vape options. Compared to Kazuha in these teams, from a single target perspective, I think that she will be a significant improvement, but it is important to note that Kazuha's grouping in AoE situations is incredibly useful, and in comparison, Xianyun has literally no grouping. Additionally, Xianyun's plunge buff only works on a single target, which obviously doesn't scale well the more enemies there are. In conclusion, I think Xianyun will be a massive upgrade to Diluc's teams. Frankly, the numbers I'm seeing are kind of absurd. For this potential to be reached though, there are a number of possible issues with vape consistency and swirl setups that need to be solved. When she comes out, I'll be doing a guide of how to use her with Diluc and testing her in Abyss. After this, I think I'll have a much better idea of what she can do, but for now, I am cautiously optimistic. Hopefully this video was helpful, and if you have any questions about Xianyun, please leave a comment and I'll try to answer you. Thanks for watching.